Welcome to the hot African stories that have aimed to give lessons and build drama in our life. I know you've spent a very heavy day and therefore you need some entertainment and lessons. This is a story of forbidden love that is written by Priska Mtswenje. Stay tuned and listen to the story. In the heart of Buhome village, a young woman, Nasenya, found herself in a precarious situation. She stood every morning distressed about her situation and hoped that the God of her people would remember her. She had been trapped in the brutal hands of childlessness that took her down in this community that fancied kids. She had turned into a vase of scorn from her mother-in-law and the sisters-in-laws who could not hold their tongues on her. Why the hell do you even call me a mother-in-law? What was my fault that you came to bewitch my son? The hell you should leave. I'm not your mother-in-law. Her mother-in-law, Anlea, once told her before her sisters-in-laws who only laughed at her and made her appear as a rag in the family. She was a jewel for heaven's sake, so beautiful and pretty, light-skinned and tall. She had been brought up in a God-fearing family, and so when her friends who sympathized with her situation advised her to seek a solution elsewhere, she could not opt for this. She could not even imagine doing such a thing. Then one day, Shah came to the nearby town. Nasenya's husband had been away. He was not even calling. Shah was pleased to meet Nasenya, who was window shopping at a Lupe market. He took interest in her. She was a jewel indeed, a very beautiful woman, and he called on her to inquire on one or two issues. Nasenya at first was hesitant, but soon she was attracted to this stranger who was not only wealthy but caring. He was so concerned about her and kept giving her what she needed. This stranger seemed to have some magic. Her husband had been away for months and was not calling anymore. She suddenly erased her manners and took to this stranger. Familiarity, they say, brings more. She even sat with him in a hotel she had never visited before, and they took a meal. I wish you were mine, the stranger said. All she did was to offer a smile, a brilliant smile that could trap even the butterflies. He was willing to take her away, but Nasenya felt she was not ready to let go of her Musinde. They had come from far. Soon, he said he would be leaving. And indeed, he went. Nasenya found Musinde back after a duration. And so, as she went on spending days and days, she saw that there's a lot of change happening in her. And after a few months, her tummy began to grow. Her husband, who had long returned, witnessed this change with excitement. His journey had not been in vain. The gods had worked where he went. He sighed with relief. After a month of waiting, he would watch and bring all goodies as Nasenya touched her stomach. Her mother also watched from a distance, in amazement, blaming herself for having called this woman barren. She could not swallow back her words either. Then the child came at the wee hours of the morning. Annalea witnessed the birth. Were they two children? One so pale, the other so dark, like the sky and the sea. She soon shouted, "Abomination! He is not one of us. So pale, an outcast has been found." This word pierced Musinde's ears, calling him to the conscience. Indeed, if today was the due day, they are not mine. He should have been 2 weeks later. Amidst cry and mourning, no one listened. No one listened to the pleas that Nasenya gave. Musinde grabbed the child and handed over to Ominda the servant. "Make sure he drowns. We cannot let this thing live. No." A stern voice and anger dominated the heart. Ominda, who received his dues, walked away as soon as he had come in. Though a hard decision, Nasenya was helpless, and all she could do was to mourn and clean her tears. What more was left? After all, according to this community, if such a thing was had, you were supposed to be killed. Her life had been spared, but not of the children. She only continued to cover her face, mourning, but in pain, and praying and hoping for the best.